mess up. You can tell I've been fumbling in my hair. What time is it? It's 2:30. It's an odd time. Hello, Periscope.
I should get on there.
How are you all? Anybody out there in Periscope land? See, I'm kind of fell off my my pattern. And folks,
At least we'll see one person on there.
I know. You usually. Joy speaks to you. Thanks for joining. Look who I got. I'm hanging out with the mommy Maven in Memphis.
Yeah.
Hey, Keisha. Listen, little Tersa's on. She said, you gotta turn that down. You gotta turn that down.
Okay, I got it off.
Hey, Keisha, how are you? I hope you and Tierra had a good call last night. Turn that off.
I gotta turn it off. I'm off, boo. I'm off.
Hey, Dr. B. Okay, so I'm sitting here with, see, my stuff is not on.
There you go.
But I don't think it's right on their end.
Okay.
But I'm sitting here with the mommy Maven. Hey, Dr. B. I am well and yourself. I'm good, Keisha. You know what, Keisha? I had you mixed up with... Santasia. Santasia had a call with Tierra last night. But Keisha, I see you soon for the PPP. But I'm sitting here with the mommy Maven, LaTersa Blakely, and she came to hang out with me in Memphis. We was working on some things, and she's helping me be technologically savvy on a few things. Yeah, yes, ma'am. I will see you soon. But let me first introduce myself. I am Delmar Johnson, president of Delmar Johnson Enterprise, and your chief HR brain with HR Brain for Hire. And me and the mommy Maven LaTersa were hanging out in Memphis. I wish my thing is not on landscape. That's why I won't turn it, because we'll be upside down. So I don't have landscape yet. Thank you for the hearts, guys. So we're sitting here in McDonald's. You probably hear all kind of great music in the background and stuff, and we have our computers out and all this good stuff, and she's been helping me not feel like I'm so technologically unsavvy. How about that? I feel so much better today about some things that are going to happen. But we also want to jump on here because she wanted to do a testimony. You got it. I want to do a testimony about the importance of mock interviews before you get ready to go on a job. So many times in my 20 plus years in HR and even teaching HR in the college I teach at, it's like so many people are so unprepared when they go to interviews, and I simply don't understand that if you want the job. Hello, Chicago. I hadn't seen you in a while. Thanks for being here. So many people go into the interview unprepared. They're just so, some people may been, unemployed for a long time, just feel a little desperate. I've been there. Hey, Lois, I've been there. Thanks for the hearts, guys. So I understand about long-term unemployment. I understand about being fired. I understand about being, but not having a job. So trust me when I tell you, I understand the feeling of how it can feel desperate. But even in desperation, you need to be prepared enough for people to pick up the phone and want to invite you for an interview. And then once you get in the interview, and I used to say fake it till you make it. Actually, I started saying faith it till you make it. Faith. Faith it till you make it. So if you have a 30-minute interview, just put aside for 30 minutes whatever frustrations you may have or whatever, and really go in there at your best level. So recently, mommy Maven. Recently, LaTersa went to Oklahoma City to do a couple of interviews, and one of them, both of them she did really well on, but one she really knocked out the park because we got on the phone a couple of days before that, and I drilled her on what to expect in a professional level interview and some of the things that they're probably going to be asking. So I gave her some tips about how to go in the interview. A lot of people, two questions that people don't know how to answer, or for the most part don't know how to answer. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And then they're going to want to know, what do you know about this company? And they ask that question because they want to know, have you been researching them? Do you really want to work for this company, where you'll find out who we are, what we're all about, what our culture is about, and everything. And a lot of people don't go that deep. So I took her to a few levels that she may have been out of the loop for, because she's been a stay-at-home, work-at-home mom for more than 6 years. So she felt a little uneasy about that. Thanks for the hearts, guys. Keep the hearts coming. Felt a little uneasy about that. So I took her through some particular questions that will set her up for success. And I'll let her tell you how well that went and how that mock interviewing and the help that she got with that, the live mock interviewing she did with me, how that really positioned her to have the men around the table who were interviewing her say, wow, you're probably one of the most prepared interviewees we've ever had. So, hey, Mommy Maven.
Hey, how you guys in Periscope land? This is LaTersa Blakely, and yes, like I said, like Delmar said, I've been out the loop for about 7 years. I've been a work-at-home mom for the past 7 years. Yes, that's Backstreet Boys.
Yes, Backstreet Boys, Lois. Lois lives here in Memphis.
Okay, yes. And so I was nervous. I told Delmar, I said, look, you're going to have to coach me on this one. You're going to have to do what you do best, because the way I'm feeling now, this interview gonna be in there. So what I did, we did a mock interview. It lasted about 2 hours, you guys, because the girl over here had some questions. So she took me step by step, and the part that was most scary to me was my weaknesses and tell me about myself, because I don't really talk about, you don't really talk about yourself that much. So I wanted to say the typical, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and she's like, oh no, Tersa, don't do that. You keep as less religion and personal out of it as possible. So we went over a couple scenarios of what I could say. And when I tell you I got in the interview, I walked out, y'all.
Thanks for joining us.
I felt so confident because everything we did in the mock interview, that was the very thing they asked. The second question they asked me, so what do you know about us? When I tell you I had about 2 paragraphs that I had memorized about the company, I told them about awards, and they was like, well, dog, you told us more about our company than employees know about our company. I said, well, I do my due diligence to find out who I'm going to be working for. And they was like, well, wow, Miss Blakely, you're the most prepared interviewee we've had in a while.
So hold it right there, LaTersa. So I'm going to have her tell you what I told her to review on Check It. And if this is any good to you guys, give us some hearts so we'll know that you're still there. And please share it with someone that may be going through a transition and looking for a job and really are fearful about interviews. Thanks for joining us, Good Home Train. Good Home Train. I like that. That they may be going through transition and just need, some encouragement about being prepared for interviews. So tell them some of the things that I told you to go look for the company besides just the name of the company and the president.
Okay, the thing that you want to look for when you're looking at a company, you want to look and see, do they do community service? What type of projects they're working on? Who are their potential clients? You want to look for if they receive awards in the last year or so. I went all the way back to last year and found rewards, and they was like, we never really talk about this grant. This is one of our huge grants. They was like, and you found that information? I was like, yes, of course. I researched you guys. And they was like, we see you did your homework. So you want to make sure if they did some community service in the community, you want to acknowledge that. You want to see you want to know what their mission is, what their core values are, and then you line your core values up with what their core values are, because you want to know that your tools and things that you bring to the table will ultimately help them. Say you look at the job description, they're looking for an assistant to admin or take calls, where you relate your experience to suit their mission or to suit their description, because it's all about what can you do for them. That's what they want to know in the interview. So when I start telling them things about that, and then they even gave me a personality test, you guys, I was like, what the hell? So they wanted to know, did my resume and my in-person personality match up? And they was like, well, your personality test just didn't do you justice, because it said everything about you. I said, I know LaTersa more than anybody. And they just chuckled, because they was like, we've never had an interviewee to have a personality test that matches right on the dot.
So you guys, that's part of your due diligence. It's more than just looking up, when the company was founded. You want to do some of the general stuff too. When the company was founded, maybe how many employees they have. But it was something else that we talked about that I pointed out that I don't think LaTersa noticed. It's like, first of all, that company became the company through mergers and acquisitions. Okay, so you want to understand how they became who they became. And because they may have started out with 10 people, but they may have employees. They may have 1,000 employees now, but you need to know if they grew that organically or did they grow that through acquisitions and mergers. So when I talk about do your due diligence about what the company is about, do that. And not just from their website. Look it up and see if they've been. Google them. See if they've been in any kind of business magazines. The New York Post, whatever successful newspapers and stuff that are out there, online newspapers, of course now that may have even talked about when they had acquisitions and mergers to grow their business in the time and that time when it did happen. Then you want to search there too. So you want to move beyond just the website. So we talked about how to answer the question, your strengths and your weaknesses. And I told her to pick her top 3 strengths and her 1 or 2 of her main weaknesses that she could easily talk about, and then turn into how has she, thanks for sharing, Lois, then talk about how she used those weaknesses. What did she incorporate to strengthen those weaknesses? Because your weaknesses can be explained to the point where you get it back to now it's a strength because you found the tool, the strategy, or the plan to make it work for you, instead of against you. What else did we talk about, LaTerce?
We talked about salary. We talked about negotiations. Like for me, the company, I looked up salary.com to see what the going rate was, the medium average salary for that type of position. And then she was like, so let me give you a scenario. If they come at you with an offer that's below what you know you're worth, what are you going to say? And right before the interview, I kept texting Dermar, what you say again? Because I was getting nervous. But, after they start talking, and then it was 3 men interviewing me. I was the only female in the room. So I think I just blew their socks off, because all the stuff that I learned from the mock-up interview was the same stuff that they asked me. And then when I told them about my weaknesses, one of my main weaknesses, I tend to get in the fixer mode all the time. And I'm always trying to fix stuff. And then I said, upon analyzing this, I found that sometimes when I take a step back and analyze the situation, I don't have to put myself in that situation to fix it, because it may not be for me to fix.
Good home to can you give me your email info? I have a question from one of your periscopes. Yes, also, what else did we talk about? We talked about a lot of stuff in that 2 hours.
We talked about when they start talking about what do you know about us, you want to always highlight their great qualities, the top 3 great qualities that they do within their company. And then you want to tie in your beliefs into their mission statement or their values. Like one company I applied for, their values was love, lead, and learn. So I made a statement into that same thing, saying that when I saw this position, it resonated with me because of your
hit your hearts. It
resonated with me because your core values lined up with my beliefs as love, learn, and lead. So you want to tie in their values with your beliefs and just really make them feel like they just outshining every other company out there. And that's what I did.
Exactly.
And so the whole time throughout the interview, every question they asked me, I paused for a moment, get my thoughts together, because you don't blur about the first thing come out. And then when I answered it, because the last question, this is what something else we talked about. That last question I asked, because I had 7 questions. You always want to ask them questions. And they kept saying, Miss Blakely, we done interviewed about 30-something people, and now one of them asked us any question. I said, well, I always have questions, because they asked me, do you have any questions? I said, well, I absolutely do.
And why should you ask questions? Because an interview is a dialogue, which means they're trying to find out about you, and you need to size them up too. I think a lot of people get nervous because they think that it's a monologue. Okay, thanks for coming back in, Keisha. They think it's a monologue. No, an interview is a dialogue, because just as much they need to find out about you, and they may be nervous too if they're not used to interviewing somebody. Then you need to be able to speak to them about what your core values are and how that lines up with them. So it's a dialogue. So you're interviewing them just from a different angle. You're interviewing them from the interviewee perspective. Yeah. Something else you also asked me, LaTersa, was do you need to take your resume and your own, notepad and everything in there? I did. Definitely. Again, we're having a dialogue and a conversation.
They had like 3 pages of notes, you guys. They had like 20 questions on these papers. Each one of them was writing down stuff about every answer I gave. So when I got to the part where they asked me if I had any questions, the questions that really got them like, oh my God, you're so interview ready. That last question I left them with, I said, so based on my experience and my resume and my references, is there anything in my background that needs clarification? Because I'm really interested in the position, but I don't want anything to deter me from getting the position. So is there anything? And their follow-up was, wow, we've never had that question before. And I said, well, I just want you guys to understand I'm very grateful for the time that you've taken to interview me, but I wanted to know some things about you guys. So when I answered that, they wrote their little stuff down. Then
do your hearts, guys. If this is resonating with you all, if it's good information, give us hearts. Give us hearts.
Then the guy that's would potentially be my supervisor, I had a question for him. I said, so what is your expectation of the person that you hire in this position? And then he answered that. And then I asked him, so what is your managerial style? How do you manage your employers or the people that's on your team? So he answered that, and then he asked me a question. So what do you expect for your manager to be? And I said, well, I like a manager that's honest, straightforward. If you want me to do something, not only tell me, but show me, because I'm a hands-on learner. So if you show me how to do something, I can get it. And when I said that, they just put their pencil down. I was like, well,
thanks, Keisha.
We don't have anything else to ask you because your resume speaks for itself. But he kept saying, the HR person, she didn't do your resume justice. She should have told us a whole lot more of this because you are awesome. I was like, wow.
They're talking about their HR person, not this HR person.
Not her. No, their HR person. Because they was like, everything that you did, everything you have on your resume is outstanding. Because I put my company, LaTersa Blakely Enterprises, but I tied in my duties to fit their description of what I do. I've been doing administrative and customer service work for the last 7 years, so I know I qualify for the job. But what I think has been missing in my prior resumes, I didn't put my description of my company to meet their needs.
Oh, and who helped you with your resume?
Delmar helped me. She revamped my whole resume, you guys. So I'm telling you guys need to get her to do a mock-up with you and look at your resume, because this is the first interview, you guys, I've had. I've applied for about 70 jobs before now, and this is the first 2 interviews I got. Actually, I was hard-headed because I had my own agenda. But the minute this is the thing, you guys, I just applied for this job like a week before, like that Wednesday. 2 people called me Monday for an interview in the same state. And I had been applying for everywhere else. Nobody called me. I had an interview. I didn't have nothing. I'd applied for 70 jobs.
So the power of a professionally done resume and doing a mock interview does pay. You have to be willing to invest in yourself if you're gonna have a job that you desire, or one that's on the way to the one that you desire. So I wanted her to hop on here. Like I said, we was having a good time in Memphis, and before she had to leave out of here, I told her we definitely got to get on there. Words have power, yes, and the right words have even more power. Exactly. So thank you all for joining us. I see a few people fell off. That's quite all right. Those of you all who come into the replay, hit the man at the bottom, the little Perry man at the bottom, and give us some hearts if this resonated with you, or at least sparked some things in you. So I appreciate you joining our crazy little periscope here at McDonald's with all the music and stuff in the background. Thank you, Mommy Maven, for coming and hanging with me and helping me with some things. Yeah, I think the connection was kind of bad, Keisha, but I thank you for coming back in and everything and giving us hearts. But this is Delmar Johnson. You can find me all over social media, also at my website, hrbrainforhire.com. You can find me at Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, at hrbrainforhire, and I think we're out, right?
Yeah.
Right,
yeah,
LaTersa?
Yeah.
We're out. Check out mommymaven.net too. That's LaTersa's hangout.
Yeah.
Okay? Check us both out. So have a great day, y'all. I'll try to